Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Today is, as I check my watch again, Wednesday, April the 8th, 2020. As we continue to grind through this shelter in place, at least I do in Georgia. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brees down in Orange Beach. And Brees, how you doing tonight, brother?
Oh, fantastic. Doing a little outside podcasting tonight. Heading on the porch here, so we'll see.
I like that.
One of my kids runs out here and says, "Dad, the cable's not working. How do I get on Netflix?"
Can you fix this?
Can you fix this? Yeah.
Yeah. We'll encourage everybody to check out our YouTube channel at Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. You can check out all of our, we put the video download onto that channel so you can leave comments as well. Also, we're available on iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So check it out on all four of those platforms. And, of course, the YouTube channel, Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. Paul, we talked a lot of baseball scenarios last night. And as I've got my Dodgers shirt on today, so I'm sticking with a little bit of a baseball flavor here to start it off tonight. And I wanted to talk about something that is very unique to the game of baseball and is sort of ingrained in it. And with the whole thought of playing baseball without fans, this might get lost in terms of like just the flavor that you get when you go to the ballpark, more so than watching it on TV. You get it more when you're actually in the stadium. And that is the tradition of the walk-up song, walk-up music. And you and I both played baseball and church softball and softball leagues too. And how cool to have been to like have a walk-up song like in Little League or in like church softball. That would have been pretty cool. So,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so tonight I want to start off tonight talking about what would your top 3 walk-up songs be if you were playing? And I'm going to let you go ahead and dive in.
Now, obviously, I have to start with this. You being a Dodger fan from way back, I was actually a New York Mets fan, if you recall.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And went through some hard times, but we hit a pretty good streak in the late 80s.
Yep.
But, if I was going to be playing and I had to do a walk-up song, so you're saying 3?
Top 3. Give me your top 3.
So we talked about this John Fogerty, center field. Old school.
That's solid.
Then, then it comes down to, a little bit of Who I Am. Thunderstruck by AC/DC.
That's a classic. A classic. Oh, yeah.
And then I guess the one that would be my number one choice, I guess it's like jerseys and picking numbers and stuff. But this one would be Hot for Teacher by Van Halen.
Oh, you can't go wrong with that intro drum solo. Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I like all 3 of those. I think those are great.
Probably not baseball purist songs, maybe, except for
Fogerty one. Fogerty's
a
solid. In fact, that's one of the songs on the soundtrack at our high school that they play in between innings and leading up to first pitch. It just kind of gets your baseball juices flowing, your nostalgia going, and kind of puts you in the mood to watch some baseball. And I think that's a great one. Those other 2, they're awesome too. I think that all 3 of those suit you for sure. Maybe you could get them on a rotation or something.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, as for me, my first one that popped into my head, it's an old school song, but it's so classic rock, and the intro to it has such a cool rhythm to it. Kashmir by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
As you're kind of walking around, you go swinging the bat around with the weight on it, dropping the weight down, just kind of saunter into the batter's box to Kashmir by Led Zeppelin. That would be my number one choice. The second one's pretty good too. I like just because of the intro and the sort of the crescendo of the song, and that would be Enter Sandman by Metallica.
That's a good one. That is a
great
one.
I'd go with that one too. And then my third one is a little playful. Would be Jump Around. A House of Pain.
Yeah, sure.
That's really one of those that's one of those party songs, kind of get everybody's, you get on there with like Runners on Base or something, and kind of get a little crazy with a little jump around. I think those three would be good. Now, what I think is interesting is there's certain people that are identified with certain walk-up songs. I know Cody Bellinger, big Dodger fan that I am. His is Hotel California, which makes sense. And of course, living here in Atlanta, big one was, of course, Chipper Jones's walk-up song, "Crazy Train." I mean,
good one.
That's an all-timer right there. So an all-time walk-up song for a Hall of Famer. I think every Hall of Famer needs to have a solid walk-up song. But all those are good. And sometimes you have guys that, like in the majors, it's not just the batters, but a lot of times they'll have walk-out songs from like closers. Now,
sure.
do you remember any that come to mind? I've got one that I love. But do you remember any that came to mind that they would play as a closers walking in?
Yeah, living in Nashville, baseball was not a big priority sports-wise. We had the AAA Nashville Sounds, and obviously they were affiliates with many teams. But the first I can recall was the Cincinnati Reds.
Reds, I think before that they were Yankees, Reds.
Yeah, Yankees, right.
Then they became like A's, Royals, I think at one point.
I mean, it's a gamut of many.
It's weird. Yeah, it's weird how those minor league teams that, they just kind of bounce around with different clubs. I don't know what.
And I don't know if you remember this. There was actually one year where there was a shortage of cities that would host or could host minor league affiliates, and Nashville took on a Double-A team as well.
I didn't know that. Now I know the Sounds were Double-A back in the day. When they were the Yankees affiliate, they were Double-A. But so you're saying that they were Triple-A, but they also took on a Double-A affiliate.
They did take a Double-A. They were a Nashville Express.
Really? Okay, I didn't know that.
So now, there was baseball at Greer Stadium. Was also like having about 140 home games.
Oh wow!
So it was quite the baseball dreamers' delight of minor league. But you're going back to your question. No would be the answer. I don't think of it because I was not privy to the major league baseball like you were being in Atlanta, and just obviously down there you hit the right time where it was live, breathe, drink, sleep, repeat.
Yeah.
Kind of baseball thing.
I moved down here in '94 to go to graduate school, and that was right in the heart of it. That's when they still had. That was actually I got to attend. I've been to games at Fulton County Stadium, and of course, the end of that year they tore it down and built Turner Field. But I've been to playoff games. Went to a Dodgers Braves playoff game in '95 at Fulton County Stadium, and but
let me ask you this before you say this. Let me try to guess the closer. If you give me the team, let me see if I can guess the closer's music. No?
Oh, yeah. Oh, if I give you the team, you should be able to know it. Okay. You want the team, not the guy.
No, I don't want that. I'm going to try to guess the closer.
Okay. All right. San Diego Padres.
Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah. Now you know. Now you know. Do you know the song?
You know what? I've been to Petco Park, actually. That is a fabulous stadium.
Right downtown.
It's right downtown.
Place, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the parks I would love to go to at some point in my life. Dodger Stadium being the first one that I want to get to. But
no. Tell me what we got.
Hell's Bells by AC/DC. Hell's Bells by AC/DC. down, 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 and he
That's
opens
awesome.
the door, ba-na-na, it's great, man. I mean, just to
That's
like,
awesome.
that. I mean, I would watch a Padre game just to see him come out. I mean, because
Yeah.
and just the intimidating like scowl that he would have, and he flat out dominate. But yeah, even though I was a big Padre fan, I love that intro, that walk out music instead of walk up music from the relief pitcher. And I'm sure if I delve deeper, I can find some more. But that one just pops out to me. That's one I
That's a
will
good one.
always remember. Of course, I'm a huge AC/DC fan as well.
Sure.
So anytime you throw in some AC/DC, I'm all for that. Well,
Yeah.
let's switch gears here a little bit. And this is something that we talked about in the pre-show. You mentioned that there was an article on ESPN.com listing the greatest draft day steals from small colleges from each team. Okay. And I went and took a look at it, and I went and picked out some of my favorites and some of the ones that I thought would probably be in the top, with each one. And I also added a couple that weren't on the list that
Okay.
I think should have made the list, but didn't make their particular list. But
Right.
Adam Freeman's got his own little list here. But so here's just a kind of a rundown, and just it's amazing like where these guys come from. And you'll
Yes.
like one of the ones that didn't make the list that I chose because of where he played his football. All right, so really interesting is you got a guy like Walter Payton who goes to Jackson State.
Yeah, that's the one that stood out to me.
And him and Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State.
Right.
Just kind of if you know anything about Jerry Rice's background, sort of like how he ended up there. He grew up in Mississippi, and of course near and dear to your heart from Alcorn State, Steve Air McNair, who is beloved in Nashville and across professional football, and in addition to that, you've got another quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger out of Miami of Ohio, a MAC conference. So not really sort of your mid-major, but I think he was taken like 11th overall in 2004 and has since won 2 Super Bowls with the Steelers, been there his whole career. Who jumped out other than Walter Payton to you?
Yeah, Andre Reed, Buffalo. I mean, the first one. Kutztown University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, the thing about it is, like, who found him? Who saw him and said, hey, this guy could be the guy? He was probably taken in, 5th, 6th round on a flyer, just like, hey, we need a body, a practice, a practice body or whatever, camp body, and the guy just freaking worked, and he's a Hall of Famer now. Maybe my favorite on this list is Kurt Warner from Northern Iowa, and then via the Iowa Barnstormers. Originally he was a Green Bay Packer and sat behind Favre and Ty Detmer. Actually, he was the 4th quarterback listed there, like Mikowski, Favre, Detmer, and of course Kurt Warner, but didn't make it, and then lit it up in the went back groceries for a little bit, and then went to the Iowa Barnstormers, got his shot with the Rams after Trent Green gets injured, just a freak thing. He just takes off, takes them to a title, and should have 2 Super Bowls under his belt. Should have beaten Pittsburgh with that Santonio Holmes amazing catch in the back of the end zone in the last 20 seconds of that Super Bowl. I kind of took that away from him. But yeah, Kurt Warner is probably my favorite on this list. You got guys like Randy Moss, Doug Williams, who won a Super Bowl with the Redskins, and from Grambling, little Eddie Robinson.
You got Shannon Sharp.
I do have Shannon Sharp on there. Yeah,
Savannah State.
And I think you could go, and I didn't have him on here, but Terrell Owens, UT Chattanooga.
That's right.
I mean, very, not really known for its football at all. And, he's, without a doubt, probably one of the top 10 receivers in NFL history as far as his accomplishments go and his numbers, with, guys like Bryce and Randy Moss out of Marshall. Randy Moss had an interesting story of how he ended up at Marshall. I think he was originally going to go to Notre Dame and had some legal issues and ended up going to Marshall, and actually caught a lot of heat for it, coming out and saying, because he was from West Virginia, saying that he did not want to go to West Virginia, and actually caught a lot of heat for that, and then ended up at Marshall. But Darrell Green, Hall of Famer out of Texas A&I, and that leads us into like the two guys that I added to this list, and one of them actually also attended Texas A&I, which by the time he got there, it was no longer Texas A&I. It was like Texas A&M, A&I Kingsville, or Texas A&M Kingsville.
Kingsbury,
Kingsville campus. And this is the guy that you'll like, John Randall. John Randall, a long-time Minnesota Viking, and then ended up, I think, his career with the Seahawks. But John Randall just was an absolute game wrecker. I mean, just an absolute beast. And if you ever get a chance to check his biography out on, they got a nice E60 on him of how he grew up just dirt poor, in just a cabin, like a shack, basically, and just kind of battled a lot of learning disabilities and things like that to be the success that he was. And the second one I got was Hugh Douglas, drafted originally by the Jets, but made his name in Philadelphia out of Central State University in Missouri.
Wow.
So he's another one of those guys that, like you say, is your small town, small university. We left a lot of guys off. Wayne Corbett from Hofstra. That's just one of them.
And hey, Detroit Lions, Dick Night Train Lane.
Night Train Lane.
Scotts Bluff Junior College.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you think about those guys that, even were JUCOs, that came and just had incredible careers. Guys that played other sports, like Antonio Gates at Kent State, was a basketball player, and is going to be a Hall of Famer. Spent, I think, all 16 years with the Chargers, and then is, going to end up in the Hall of Fame for sure. I think he has owns the record for most touchdowns by a tight end, I believe, with 110. But yeah, man, these guys, it's a great list that they put out. And we were adding a couple more to that. Any guys that in this year's draft that you think that you've heard about or heard people talking about that might be steals in later rounds? Maybe not even necessarily from a small school, but that we might look at 3 and 4 years down the line and be like, oh my gosh, he didn't go to the 5th round or something, something like that.
I mean, without being a homer.
You can be a homer. This is your show.
All right. There's a running back at Vanderbilt. His name is Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yes.
And local product out of Nashville. And he went to Illinois out of high school, played a couple years, and then transferred down to Vandy for the last 2 years. I think he led the SEC in rushing his junior year, and then this year, obviously did not have the quarterback that Kyle Shermer, Pat Shermer's son, was the quarterback the year he had just a tremendous year rushing. I mean, a good quarterback can really alleviate some of the – open up a lot of holes for you. And Vanderbilt had 0 in the quarterback game this year. So
they were terrible. Once he
had to do a lot of things.
There was nobody in the pipeline, and it was like, hey, let's toss it to Keyshawn every play.
Yeah.
And he was just getting killed. But, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Here's another one that I like since we're sticking with the homer vibe.
There you go.
I'm going to go Lynn Bowden. Look, Lynn Bowden hadn't played quarterback since high school, comes into the SEC, and the first drive at quarterback, I think, was at the end of the South Carolina game, which was horrible. Kentucky hadn't done anything all game. So like, well, hey, we can't score. Let's put Bowden back there and see what we can. He just drives them right down the field in like less than 3 minutes, scores. It's the only touchdown. And then that set up the game at Georgia in Athens. I think they ended up losing 21-0. But he proved that he could, but that game was there's something different about that game. It was in an absolute driving rainstorm, if you recall. It was raining so hard that there were sometimes you couldn't even see what was going on the field. It was raining so hard. And they end up losing, 21-0. And you think if he's got a fast track, because that's grass in Athens, it's not turf. If he's got a dry field, what could he have done? What could the Kentucky offense would have done? Because I think Georgia was like number 5 in the nation at that time. But I think Lynn Bowden is a guy that you've got to take a second look at, because you look at the film and you look at the stuff that he did in the bowl game against Virginia Tech, good defense. Louisville just shredded them. These huge games he had. Now he's not going to be throwing the ball. You're going to put him in the slot. He's going to be. Who would I liken him? Who would you liken Lynn Bowden to in the current NFL?
Slot receiver. What's DeAndre Hopkins? He outside?
He's an outside guy.
Who's the other guy that played at the Texans? Not Kenny Stills.
There's another guy who was really, really fast. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a guy and I'm trying to think of who he plays for now, and I can't think of it but they try to get him the ball all kinds of different ways. And that's your Lynn Bowden. Like, he's a guy you can run jet sweeps with. He's a guy you can just, take one step and just fire it out to the outside and just let him make one guy miss. And it's 5, 7, 8 yards. He makes one guy miss. He, breaks a tackle. He's just, you can use him in the punt return game, kickoff return game. He's electric. I think but I don't think he's going to go later. I think he's going to be gone before the 3rd round. I really do, because I think the secret is out on him. But he may be one of those guys that is hurt by the fact that nobody's been able to see these guys
pro days
in person, in pro days. You haven't been able to operate in pro day. And so he might be one of the guys that gets hurt by that. And you never know. So,
well, let me mention one more guy, just because your daughter goes to Georgia, correct?
Yes. Well,
okay,
yes.
So
yes, she'll be
currently, yeah.
Currently, she's at Georgia
All right.
doing it all online.
I'm sure you have a lot of Athens and Georgia friends down there, and one
Tons.
guy that you're going to keep your eye on, Jauan Jennings.
Jennings.
Mr. Hail Mary.
He's a player now. Now he's a senior, right?
Yeah, he's gone. But, he's one of those guys that you're like, wait, he's still on the team?
Right.
He just on and on. But, yeah, he's done with you, Georgia Bulldog people. So
yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. That was he always plays well. I mean, he's got talent. I think he would be a good late round pickup for somebody.
Absolutely.
As a receiver, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I like that pick. Maybe something to look out for. Sort of moving on. But it's kind of sad. And this would have been Masters Week in Augusta. Would have been a big thing. And of course, last night would have kicked everything off. Today would have been a practice round, I believe, on Wednesday. Or is today the par 3 would have been the par 3 contest? It may have been.
I think they do par 3 on Tuesday, but
Tuesday. Okay.
Listen, as many times as I've entered the ticket pool and the lottery, still haven't gone. So
Wow.
don't. I would love to know the exact. I think practice. I don't know, but if that's the one thing that have been pursuing to go to that I've yet to go to.
I got you. Well, you were talking off air about the Masters meal and
Champions Dinner.
Champions Dinner, which was last night.
Correct.
Okay, and you were talking about how Tiger Woods, or whoever the previous champion, gets to choose the Masters meal. All right,
Correct.
so you posed the question to me, and I had no clue. But if you were choosing the Masters meal, what would you have?
Well, they say that you can pick anything, and you can pick multiple entrees.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can prime rib, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese. A lot of starches. You got to keep it starchy.
Well, it's a long day. That par 3 contest that could last.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
got to throw a little fried okra in there. Go ahead and throw the fried okra. Little red lobsters, cheese biscuits, and
yes.
hey, let's find out who makes the chocolate shakes from Chick-fil-A. So.
Okay, I got that. Shoot, that'll work for me. Yeah, I think I gotta go. I gotta go fried chicken for sure. Some short ribs. Maybe even like I'm gonna go full on Southern. I'm gonna go catfish on you. Need some catfish.
Nice.
Garlic mashed potatoes for sure. Cream corn. Definitely some fried okra. No doubt about that. And for dessert, I'm going coconut pies for everybody.
Wow.
And you're saying I could have anything for maybe like you like the milkshake variety. If I'm going for some type of like ice cream delight, I'm going cheap on these guys. I spent a lot of their money with the other stuff I wanted. I'm going to give you a break, okay? And I'm going to go simple. I'm going to go peanut butter parfait from Dairy Queen. That's what I want. I want soft serve with some caramel and some of those little peanuts, man, with a big long red straw, and all the golfers will be eating it. Love that, man. That was for me growing up. Playing down at Noble Park in Paducah, Kentucky. Dude, win or lose, on the way home, stopping on the Beltline, and man, we're getting a peanut butter parfait, and we're eating it. And awesome. It would take me at least till I got home to finish it, and that's what I liked about it. Now, here's what's funny about that: the peanut butter parfait. I remember it being just enormous, and I go get one today, and I'm like, what? This is like half of what it used to be. Are you kidding?
That's right.
Me? Yeah. But maybe that's just because we're bigger now, and you get ice cream, anything when you're little, and it's like it's enormous,
Yeah.
But I get it now, and I'm like, I swear the cup is half the size that it used to be, and I swear by that it's half the size than it was back in the 70s. But I guess they're figuring they're trying to keep us from eating too much sugar. But
wow, we thank them so much.
Yes. Thanks so much for looking out for us. We appreciate it. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us here tonight. We encourage you guys to check out our YouTube channel at Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul, and listen to any and all of our previous episodes, including watching the videos as well. Also, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, and Google Podcasts. Also available on all 4 of those platforms. And Maurice, you got any last words?
Man, everybody stay safe, stay separate.
That's right.
Hey, I'll be down here until the weather gets bad down here.
That's right.
Which is probably going to be a long time.
Yeah. All right, man. For Paul Brees, this is Adam Freeman. Drink your tonic water and take your zinc. You've been listening to Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul.